They took everything? Let me call you back, Petey.
Well, they could be anywhere by now.
They're digging right under our feet.
Well, in a sense, we've only made matters worse.
We should have stayed out of it.
With Season 3 of Demon Slayer on a bulldoze through the mainstream anime competition with its Swordsmith Village arc, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about the time leading up toward this climax. In this video, I want to take a deep dive into the world of Demon Slayer and uncover the mysterious history of the 12 Kizuki, particularly in an effort to answer the question, who were the ancient Uppermoons? The 12 Kizuki are a hierarchical group of demons consisting of the 12 strongest below the Demon King himself, Muzan Kibutsuji. The demons here are all members based on their individual strength and combative prowess. At the hand of demonification, they have all been amplified significantly in order to hunt down and kill the Demon Slayer core. The hierarchy of such demons have been established through two methods. One in which the 12 demons are separated by the upper and the lower rank. Second of which is an engraved kanji upon their eyes that display any number between 1 and 6. This is in place to garner a specific distinction of the demon's strength based on their appearance. The difference in strength is ranked gradually from lower rank 6, where all the members of the lower ranks possess a kanji in the one eye, gradually up toward upper rank 1. Where all members of the upper ranks hold kanjis in both eyes. 6 demons uphold each of the ranks, and their strength as members are dependent on 3 factors. First of which is their individual ability and competence. Second being their human consumption toll and rate, as demons grow stronger the more they eat. But most importantly, their strength is best distinguished through their physical tolerance of Muzan's blood. Cause blood of the Demon King is not only the origin of their demonic state, but also the deciding factor behind their demonic potency. All of their abilities from their regeneration to the efficiency of their blood demon arts, all of it is an inheritance from Muzan himself. From what we know, demons have always been around. There are no records dating past the Sengoku Era, which makes the origin of this group tricky to navigate. All we know is that the original demon is over 1,000 years old. The oldest known demons after Muzan are Tamayo and Kokushibou, who are 500 years old respectively. From what we can tell, the 12 Kizuki don't have a specific origin, and could by all means have existed since the Heian Period. But if we consider the events of the Sengoku Era, we can at least trace the 12 Kizuki back 474 years from the set time period in Demon Slayer, which is 1912. It means that the year 1438 is when we see the efforts of Yoruichi take place, as well as the demonification of his brother Michikatsu. From what we know, it is apparent that these years, between the Nanbokucho Period and the Sengoku Period of Japan, is the time frame where breathing techniques were first established. But more importantly, it is also the time where Yoruichi and Muzan first clashed. This is very noteworthy when talking about the 12 Kizuki, because before Yoruichi's time the Demon Slayer Corps did exist, and it was still run by the Ubuyashiki family. But Muzan had not yet experienced a viable threat before he had met Yoruichi. In other words, during the Sengoku Era, Muzan experienced his first setbacks as a demon. First, the Demon Slayers became much stronger then than they had previously been. This is due to the breathing techniques they now harbored. This led into the Golden Age of Demon Slayers. where in all likelihood demons began to perish left and right. This alone must have shook Muzan, which led him to establish the 12 Kizuki. It is at this time we see the meeting between Muzan and Michikatsu, the brother of Yoriichi. That is the earliest point we can trace back the 12 Kizuki. We can determine that the establishment of the 12 Kizuki must have happened somewhere between year 1438 and 1414, as this is the time frame the Golden Age of Demon Slayers had its stride, as well as being close to the year where Yoriichi had Muzan absolutely packed up. With the Golden Age of Demon Slayers a distant memory, and the founder of Breath of Muzan's conscience, it would take a while for the Kizuki to be properly assembled. In fact, it was not until the Momoyama period in 1594, approximately 100 years after the death of Yoriichi, that the ranks began to take proper form. By this time, Kokushibou already stood tall at the peak of this hierarchy, and had done so for a while. But the upper rankings of the Kizuki would finally be complete by this time. Among its members are the aforementioned 5 ancient Uppermoon demons. Uppermoon 2, Kuroki, Blood Demon Art, Levitation. He can manipulate the forces of air and density, allowing him to create strong gale winds and dense pressure at will. Uppermoon 3, Gabi, Blood Demon Art, Toredo Spear. He is able to control spears of will that will swap his physical condition with that of the target, making wounds he himself receives a lethal weapon against those that he fights. Uppermoon 4, Lady Valonia, Blood Demon Art, Rapture. She can turn anything she touches inside out. Uppermoon 5, Sekija, Blood Demon Art, Blindfold. She can control flying pamphlets of blindfolds that will decipher anything it touches and reveal its entire history to her, which in turn lets her learn anything instantaneously. Uppermoon 6, Akame, Blood Demon Art, Crimson Blood. He can regenerate his body both fully and partially anywhere his blood is spilled, as well as manipulate his own blood completely. As previously mentioned, these Uppermoon demons were first assembled by the early Momoyama period of Japan in 1594. At this point, the influence of Yoriichi had completely died out. The potency of breathing techniques saw its first dip since its origination, and all of the Hashira from the Golden Age had died off, and in their place was their respective Sugoko. Although the breathing techniques were still in its primordial form, the power of Demon Slayer Core would reduce due to the lack of Demon Slayer marks. This seemingly insignificant change was enough to allow demons to once again thrive. Despite this reality, demons still had an underlying respect for the Demon Slayer Core, one that is much more reasonable than what we see today, which is why many members of the Uppermoon Kizuki found themselves utterly enraged by the notion of a demonic Demon Slayer. Yet one that stood above them all was Kokushibou. Instead of being their peer, Kokushibou quickly became public enemy to the demons. He was a living testament of the Golden Age, one that would serve as a constant reminder of their previous failures. It was then devised numerous plans to have Kokushibou executed, but before any scheme could commence, the rankings would quickly be addressed by Muzan. This led into the events known as the Night of the Blood Moon, where all who secretly held a grudge against Kokushibou were called out by Muzan and forced to fight him in a blood battle. Along with the entire lower ranks, 3 members of the upper ranks fell along with them, including Lady Valonia, Sekija, and Akame. The events of this night likely took place during the Heian Period somewhere between 1648 to 1652. This is because it was during this time frame that Japan's fishing industry began to thrive. This is an important thought regarding our current Uppermoon 5, Gyokko. As stated in the Demon Slayer fanbook, Gyokko was a human named Managi. He was from a fishing village and lost his parents at sea at a young age. He was ostracized by the village he was born in, and in retaliation he would begin to commit serial murders. Suspected by the police, investigations began in his childhood home, which led to his arrest, as they would find corpses of the missing victims stuffed into pots. Managi was seemingly executed on the spot and left to die from blood loss, which is where Muzan found him in the nick of time and turned him into a demon. With this backstory in mind, I believe the Heian period was most likely the time where Gyokko came to be, as any time before wouldn't make sense, as police would not bother enforcing fishing villages due to their poverty, as well as any time after, as the fishing industry quickly became abundant after the Industrial Revolution in Japan. This makes him the second eldest demon behind Kokushibou, at an age of approximately 264 years of age. Shortly after Gyokko came Hantengu and Akasa, who both seem to have been affiliated during the mid-Edo period of Japan. Due to the fact that both Hantengu and Akasa are both eerily so similar in time frame, it's difficult to determine their exact ages. But by comparing each of their trials revealed by their backstories, there are a few key components we can look towards. First of which being the justice system the bystanders seem to have. This leads me to believe that Hantengu is the eldest of these 2 demons. This is both due to the nature of the trial, as well as the severity of the punishment. We can see that in Hantengu's case, a lot less people seem to be present. There's only the magistrate and the offended, along with a singular guard. This leads me to believe that this trial took place before the justice reform in the Kyoho period that took place in approximately year 1716. My estimate is that this likely took place in the late 1600s, making Hantengu about 230 years of age. This makes even more sense when compared to Akasa's trial, where everything seems to be a lot more orderly during the trial. Everything from the countless guards subduing Akasa to the magistrate and his peers, but most noteworthy is the presence of the Japanese 3-strike system, where the tattoos displayed on Akasa's arms are part of the criminal justice reform that happened during the early 1700s. Hantengu, although a serial killer, never received these tattoos when imprisoned by the magistrate. One could argue it was because of the severity of the crime, as well as Hantengu's respective strength as a human. But from what we know, even those who would be put to death would receive criminal tattoos. So for this reason, I would approximately put Akasa at an age of 196. But at this point in the story, we are closing in on some various aspects of the lore in Demon Slayer. One of importance is regarding our latest 2 additions to the Uppermoons, Doma, Gyutaro, and Daki. As of right now, the surviving members of the Uppermoons are Gabi, upper rank 3, and Kuroki, upper rank 2. Now I have a specific theory about the concurrent events that play out, and the man behind it all is none other than Doma.
お前らは鬼となり、俺のように十に気づき、上限へと上がってこれるかな。
Doma speaks with an strange sense of confidence here. His time as upper rank 6 was brief, and despite the numerous time Gabi and Kuroki spent in the upper ranks, yet somehow, shortly after this confrontation, their positions within the upper ranks was coincidentally left barren.
俺があなた様の期待に応えなかった時があったでしょうか。
This gaze, although filled with fury, is somehow slightly tempered with Doma's statement. Despite being among his least favored demons, Doma has somehow forced Muzan's recognition. Yet I cannot help but catch a slight bit of concern from Muzan's silence in this exchange. Concern that I believe is warranted, as we know some of his strongest upper-rank demons mysteriously perished shortly after Doma's demonification, and I believe that this was not a coincidence.
100年もの間変わらなかった状況が今変わった。
According to this statement by Kagaya Ubuyashiki, an Uppermoon was last killed about a century ago. This wouldn't account for the two that are still alive, but it does account for one of them, as one of them would have had to have been killed by the Demon Slayers to have opened up room for Doma to make it into the upper ranks. This, I believe, was Gabi, Uppermoon 3. Whoever killed Gabi was likely not alone, and that is where I believe Doma came in. As the head of his cult, he could have likely orchestrated this attack by manipulating his followers to warn the Demon Slayer Corps, giving them an opportunity to finish off Uppermoon 3. Now I believe Doma would be the only demon capable of this, as his emotionless state means that he can subconsciously know things without properly thinking about it. Which is why I think Muzan displayed a sort of hesitant concern in their meeting, because he doesn't seem to truly have Doma under his thumb, which is likely a big reason as to why he hates him so much. Well, that, as well as the fact that there was a mysterious disappearance of Uppermoon 2, Kuroki. Within the meeting, we are let known that Doma was promoted to his spot as Uppermoon 2, which means he never fought for it, nor was he challenged for it either. But this again strikes me as insincere, as the way Doma addresses it is as if this development was an inevitability. This is the same type of eerie confidence he had when confronting Gyataro in Season 2, which leads me to believe that he was once again involved with the mysterious disappearance of Uppermoon 2. My personal theory is that Doma killed him off himself, as Doma's statement here
俺があなた様の期待に応えなかった時があったでしょうか。
seems to have an underlying history behind it that warranted Muzan's respect, as not only did Doma meet his expectations in every assignment, but he likely exceeded them when he managed to kill Uppermoon 2 when he himself was Uppermoon 6. But alas, that is just a theory. Regardless, it was shortly after this that Gyataro and Daki came along and took the upper rank 6 position, forming the upper ranks as we know them today. And with that, here is a list of every demon mentioned in this video, and their respective ages based on my investigation. I'd also like to advert your attention to all of the talented artists that have created these various original characters. This really helped me to construct my hypothetical Uppermoon demons. But to be honest, we cannot really know the true history of the 12 Kizuki, But for what we do know, the 12 Kizuki are at least as old as Kokushibou, and that is considering the ages of the other demons in the current ranks. There have been gaps in time where these positions were filled, but for what we know nothing about who these demons really were. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and with that, I want to wish you all a fantastic day.